Bam! Good evening. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we're thankful for all those of you who decided to join us here on the live broadcast. And we also want to give a big shout out to those of you who decided to join us here via the archive or watching on the replay on YouTube, Facebook, whatever portal you've decided to join us. We appreciate you for logging in and joining us today. I am going to be the host of your program this evening. You guys simply know me as the Minister Jonathan Simmons. There's my information right there. You can hit me up on email, jsimmons at realtalksports.net. You can call me on the cell 678-410-9833. Remember, follow us on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7, or follow us at Minister J Sim. And remember, we have a YouTube page. Go to that page. And remember, subscribe. I want to thank you. We're over 600 subscribers now. We're just a few hundred subscribers away from reaching the magic 1,000 subscribers. So we thank all those of you who have joined us here over these last few months, especially as we've done a lot of high school football broadcasting with us. Well, guys, anytime we do our program, we like to bring with us a champion. He's not a one, but two-time Super Bowl champion. He is also in the Fort Valley State Sports Hall of Fame and also nominated for the Black College Football Hall of Fame. Number 38, the one and only Tyrone Poole is in the building. What's up, Mr. Poole?
How you doing, Jonathan? Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well and everybody had a great day. And yeah, how about that?
Yeah, how about that? Beautiful day in the neighborhood. No rain here in Metro Atlanta. Nice day overall. So we're thanking God that we were allowed to see another day. Another day in the neighborhood. But as always, lots of stuff going on in the world of sports. We got some basketball, we got some football, and as always here in Atlanta, never boring. As we have some breaking news coming out of the Falcons camp, and we're going to have D. Orlando Ledbetter, does he always do, join us to talk Falcons and what is happening out in the camp. We also got a little rumbling and bumbling still with our Hawks. Lots of injuries, a little bit of between the coach and our star player. So we'll talk a little bit about how that's going to affect the Hawks going forward. And a shout out in high school football. Tyrone, all the state championships were played this weekend. Everybody from class private, I guess it's 1A all the way up to 7A. Everybody played. Do you know what the champion was for 7A, sir?
Who?
Mill Creek.
Okay.
Mill Creek was quite the formidable team this year. They knocked off every big name school you can think of, including on the way knocking off, I believe, Beaufort and finishing off Carrollton they hung up 50 points on Carrollton, which is very, very shocking. But yeah, Mill Creek, apparently one of the best teams in the state. And guess who else won, sir?
Let me go back and say this. What stands out to me more is not really Mill Creek. Okay, they won, but they don't stand out to me. Who stands out to me is actually Carrollton. Carrollton actually moved up, right? They moved up. So that tells me that Carrollton is putting their stamp. Mill Creek, they've been in 7A, all right? That's just like saying, hey, the New England Patriots, guess who won the Super Bowl? Well, that's cool, but look at the team that got there, okay? So I'm expecting a lot of things out of Carrollton coming up in the upcoming seasons. Plus, they're close to LaGrange, Georgia, so it must be something in the water. But shout out to Carrollton, Georgia, and all those Trojans for what y'all accomplished. Somebody had to win, but congratulations to Mills Creek as well. But I'm more, intrigued by Carrollton.
Well, like you said, no disparagement on Carrollton at all. They have been a formidable team in the state of Georgia for many, many years. Outstanding program out there. Yeah, we're going to give them a big shout out. But yeah, we definitely want to give some kudos to Mill Creek in a dominant performance, actually doubling up Carrollton 70-35 and setting a scoring record in the game. So yeah, man, those guys, I know it's a beast of moving A, but doggone. Like you said, those guys from Mill Creek, they were nice all year long. We saw them in the opening salvo of the season. They played in the Corky Kell Classic, and like you said, they've been dominant all season long. So, they handled their business. Speaking of handling their business, we had them on the show. Big shout out to the guys from down the road in South Fulton. Their very first state championship has been won by the Langston Hughes Panthers. 35-28 against a very game Gainesville squad. The Gainesville Red Elephants came in and were led by a legendary coach, a guy coming from Alabama, Josh Nesbitt, who won, I believe, was 6 titles for Hoover. Got them on ESPN TV, was a nationally ranked team a couple of times in his tenure, but they did not have enough to slow down the Langston Hughes Panthers. Again, final score 35-28. Well, Tyrone, I see someone lovely in the green room. You know, guys, I have to bring on a champion, but also have to bring on one of the most beautiful women in sports talk radio and TV. Let me get my shades because I sense some glamour is about to break on the screen. We simply know her as the Queen, the lovely Miss Tree Dolman, I believe, is ready to come on. Tree, are you there?
I am here. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Tyrone.
Hey, Tree.
Watching.
Tree is on location, about to show her glorious pipes to only a handful of people as she's out of the big fundraiser. Tell us a little bit about that fundraiser, Tree, and what's going on out right up the road from us in Buckhead.
Yeah, so we are down here. When I say we, I am referring to Beyond the Game, Shanita Foster's organization, and she's also teaming up with Angel Ray Entertainment. And so, you guys, that we have been supporting the orphans in Africa for over 10 years, actually. And so we're down here collecting bags. We're collecting gallon bags of Ziploc bags filled with different toys, toothbrushes, toiletries, and also collecting money, also collecting used bags or new bags, backpacks. And they are heading to Africa in a couple of days to take all of these items over there for Christmas.
Well, that is great stuff. That's great stuff. Yeah, as a matter of fact, folks, that is how we actually met the Queen. We met her at a similar fundraising event a few years back. I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago. I met at the same event, and great stuff there. And Shanita has been going to Africa almost every year since I can remember, except for the pandemic. So, yeah, shout out to her.
Yeah, well, I will say that Shanita lives in Africa. So she's always in Africa. She has a home in Africa and she has a home over here. So sometimes I'm like, when I call, like, hey, are you in the United States or are you in Africa? She is actually an ambassador for Africa, and she does a lot of work for Africa. And I actually want to say Dr. Shanita Foster. And
Okay.
so she does a lot of work globally. She also takes a lot of people over there. And Jonathan, you probably remember years ago when we were just talking about the vision of adding water to
Right.
these cities over in Africa, mainly Swaziland. And I am happy to say that Shanita has actually put in quite a few water pumps so that people don't have to go down to the river. They actually can go and pump water and get it poured in a bowl. So it's such a blessing. And I'm also blessed to have my name on one of them.
Well, that's absolutely beautiful. Now, what are you gonna be singing tonight, Tree?
Yeah, sorry, the door is open. What did you say?
I said, what's going to be your favorite song for karaoke tonight?
Oh, well, so this is the thing. It took me a long time to start karaoke, right? And years, actually, because I'm actually very shy. And once I got on the mic, now you can't get me out. So I've already put in 2 songs to sing. I'm singing Tamia, Stuck With Me, and I'm also singing Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas. And I have my list here. I'm going to actually do some more songs. I'm telling you, I'm going to be on the mic all night. I'm looking forward to it.
Wow. I'm sorry we couldn't be there in person. Tyrone, looks like the Queen going to be singing, bro.
Sounds good to me.
Me too. Well, listen, Tree, I'm excited that you're out there again. We were going to try to do the show from there, but it's always tough to do a live broadcast when you had to run out here and get away from the music, and it's about to rock again now. So we'll let you get out there and do your thing. And if you'd like to pop back in later, certainly do so. You can bring Shanita on and tell us about what's cooking there and who has joined you guys in the karaoke for a cause.
I will, and I do want to say right now we're waiting on our host. The event is going to be hosted by Ed Lover and Ebony Electra. And we're going to have a lot of great people in the building, karaoke for a cause, raising money for a great cause. We have our goal board up there, $8,000. Actually, can I come in and just take you on a quick tour?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. It'll be really quick because it's noisy. I just want you to see what we have. And I don't know how to turn my camera. So this is what's going on. And got the game. Here is our goal board. DJ. All right, so we are in here with great cause. Great cause. Let me step back outside so you guys can hear me. And thank you. All right, so I just wanted to take you in really quickly so you can see our goal board. And everybody's starting to arrive, and it's going to be a great time. But I do want to say that I have to pop back in for football, right?
Of course.
There's a lot of great things going on in football, mainly with my Detroit Lions, one pride, whoop whoop, and my Michigan Wolverines. Oh my goodness! I think I hear some haters over here.
Uh-oh.
Not really haters. Okay. You don't look like a go blue.
I'm go blue all day. I bleed blue.
Oh wow.
So yes. So Jonathan, I sent you the posters for the Lions and for the Minnesota Vikings, and I will pop on during football time so that we can talk about my Michigan Wolverines and my Detroit Lions.
And how about them Lions? That's all I can say about that. They are red
How about
hot.
them Lions?
Red hot.
That nobody thought that we would have a better record than the Green Bay Packers, but I'll talk about that during a later time.
We surely will. All right. Well, Tree, I thank you. And we're going to take a little bit of break. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. Don't go anywhere at all.
Bye.
Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net. The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice.
Yes, indeed, guys. Hit us up. We'd love to assist you in any way to be the voice of your individual advertisements. No problem at all. Again, give us a call, 678-410-9833. Not only myself, I have some other individuals as well that will bring you the sound you're looking for to advertise your business or even your event. So again, hit us up, 678-410-9833. All right, Tyrone, the Hawks. What on earth is going on with the Atlanta Hawks? This was a team, man, that jumped out of the box, won 3 of the first 4. Everything was clicking. They looked good. And all of a sudden, looks like the wheels are starting to come off the wagon. What are you seeing? Is it a coaching thing, a player's thing? What do you think?
I don't know. I was when you proposed that question, I was going to, get your feedback first, since you're the one kind of like a first on line. You're there with them, checking in with all the games, probably more games than I go to. So, what do you think? What do you think? What do you see when you're actually at the games? What type of feeling do you get from the players when you hear them being interviewed? Coach McMillan, what sense do you get from him? Like, how's the whole overall chemistry with the team?
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I mean, that's the thing that is kind of strange to me. So those first 4 games, the team looked like all the stuff that we read and heard about in the summer league, how they had already started to mesh already. That's what it looked like. I mean, especially that first game. I mean, they came right out of the box. They moved the ball around well. John Collins was engaged right away. Actually had one of his best games of the season, and everything looked good. And for, again, the first 4 games, everything looked like they were meshing. They had good chemistry. Everybody looked energetic on the bench. But then it seemed like after that, really looks like they've fallen back into a lot of bad habits. One of the things that is Trey's weakness, and everybody around the league knows this, he has a tendency to, there's a term they use for it, but basically he's very ball intensive. He has to have the ball in his hands a lot. And now it's okay because there are other superstars. The same thing, Luka Doncic and other guys. But Trey seems that when he's in the game, that the team oftentimes slows down and they lose the rhythm of movement of the ball because he's dribbling so much. And I think that over time it started to affect the chemistry. The other thing too is that I see that this team physically is getting banged up because, to their credit, they bought into Nate's idea of saying, listen, you guys got to play better defensively. And DeJounte Murray also is the new captain. He's brought that same type of energy, like, hey, I want you guys to play hard. And you and I talk about this all the time. When you exert a lot of energy on defense, sometimes it can detract away from your offense, especially if you're a jump shooter. Because if you notice, the Hawks' three-point shooting has went down. They're significantly down from where they were last year. Matter of fact, they've had a couple of games where they've shot less than 15% from three-pointers. So for me, what I'm seeing heads up is, number one, they're going to have to play more of an up-tempo game. And number two, they're going to have to find some way to get these guys to play defense without getting banged up, because the Hawks physically don't have the musculature, I think, to take the kind of banging they've been getting so far. On last but not least, I think the NBA has got some against the Hawks because they ain't calling nothing, bro. I mean, the Hawks. I'm not trying to be funny, but I mean, when I'm at the games, there's a lot of bad energy between the Hawks and the refs, and especially carrying on from last year between Trae Young. He's chirping at those refs like constantly because he's not getting the calls that he was getting at the beginning of last year, and certainly not getting the calls he was getting 2 years ago. So,
Yeah. Again, whether the refs are against the Hawks, I don't know. All I know is as players, the coaches always told us, you don't worry about the referees. You don't worry
oh
about
yeah, I get that.
and play. So you go out there and play. And the one thing I do know, if you go out there and you win, winning gets respect. Winning gets respect. Okay. If you're not winning, or if it's a player who your shots are not going down, then they start calling you a whiner. You're whining. You're whining. You got to earn them stripes first. You got to earn them. Then once you earn them, then we'll start giving you some calls when you really don't need calls. But right now, it's almost like you got to earn your stripes. Earn your stripes. But I'm not saying the referees are saying that. But again, when you talk about the Hawks, like you said, they are small, and I'm a firm believer even in basketball. You got to have a balance, man. You got to have a balance of big men, because the game is still rebound offensively and defensively. It's just like in football. The game, I don't care how much they try to say the game is a more aerial attack, they're making the rules beneficial to the passing game. You still win championships by running that ball on the ground and stopping that ball when they're running it. Same thing with basketball. You can shoot from the outside all you want to, but I'm like, consistency, even the teams that shoot from the outside, they still get the offensive rebound. Okay. But again, chemistry is a big, vital part. You mentioned conditioning. If I know that I'm a player, and basketball is one of them sports where you play both ends of the court. That's why most of them guys, they would say this guy only plays offense. He don't play defense, because they're trying to rest up on defense so they could be more active on offense. But all the great players, you look at anybody that you want to name, that was they did it on offense and they did it on defense. I bet if I was a betting person, you watch them after practice. They are either the first ones to get into practice or the last ones to leave practice. And they're doing a little extra things. They're not doing, if the coach says, okay, hey, everybody stay after and run 3 extra laps. They're going to stay and run about 3 more extra laps, maybe 6 extra laps. Okay, that's what greatness does, okay, because you understand the game that you're in. So if you're getting winded as a player, then you need to take it upon yourself to do extra work. Okay, that's what the great ones do. That's all I know. That's all I know. But again, like you said, hopefully the Hawks. I think they won 3 out of the last 10 games. They gotta get out of that streak right there. They gotta 3 out of the last 7 games. They're on a 1-game losing streak. So again, hopefully they can make amends when they take on the Magic tomorrow at 7 p.m. Actually in Orlando.
And Orlando is a team they should be able to beat. They're not that good of a team, but of course, again, I don't want to take away from the fact that they had a lot of injuries. They were playing off a back-to-back last night. Trey was out. John Collins is still out. DeJounte Murray was out, so they're playing with skeleton crew. But what I look at, again, the same thing, the Hawks for 3.5 quarters, they seem to play a different game than what they played in the fourth quarter and actually to the tail end of the third quarter. At halftime, I think they were down by 7 or 8. And even into the third quarter, they were down by, I think, maybe 9 points. And then all of a sudden, game gets away from them. I look up, and they're down by 30. So this team's going to have to find a much better way to learn how to close and play better in the second half. And the other thing is, you hear me talk about this all the time. This is a team that has a lot of players that can play over the rim. Why either Nate doesn't instruct this or the players just don't listen to him? They need to push the ball. You talked about rebounding. Hawks are not a bad rebounding team, especially considering their size, but they just don't push the ball. And to me, you got guys that in Collins, in Jalen Johnson, Kongru, these even DeJounte Murray himself. All these guys are over the rim players, so they need to be out on the court, moving towards the basket with speed, with cuts, to utilize their jumping ability and to utilize their quickness. I just think the Hawks don't do it.
Yeah, a lot of motion offense is what you're basically saying. Any motion
Right.
offense. But let me ask you this about the injuries, okay? Injuries do happen, okay? But I think as a professional player, okay, I'm speaking as a professional player, you got to understand your sport, man. You got to understand your sport. Okay, what if I'm a football player, right? And I never decided to do shoulder work. I never, or if I did do shoulder work, I'm just, going through the motion. I'm doing more talking to my teammates or people who would talk to me instead of me lifting. So, a lot of the things I'm pretty sure what Coach Nate McMillan, himself being a former player, it's just, these new age guys, man, it's just, I don't know. Like I tell my son, I'm like, he can never be better than me mentally. And it's not his fault. I think it's society's fault. Society has watered down the alpha male, the alpha female, and society is saying, hey, take it easy, take a break, But I still think, these new school athletes, if they mix in some of that old school mentality and work ethics, I'm like, they'll be so much more dominant than, their predecessors. But again, it's a mindset, man. It's a mindset.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Well, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, and this is something that, especially here in Atlanta, and I don't know about other cities, but this has been a complaint for the Hawks for years, that the Hawks played soft. Really since the days of, and again, you're going back into the 90s, but the days of Mutombo, guys like that really force you to play physical. Kevin Willis. I mean, that guy, even to this day, bro, I see him, he like you, bro. He stay in that gym. I mean, he looked dangerous now, bro. So, I mean, they don't have that. They had a guy here named Ivan. I can't call his last name. Ivan Johnson. He was the closest thing the Hawks have had to that in the last decade. That guy, he looked like he should be playing like linebacker, bro. And like they would bring him out. And when the Hawks would need some muscle, they had that guy. And I think that every team needs to have that dude, that guy that they know, hey, if we need to get some tough rebounds, if we need somebody to send a message to another team, that's it. I had a chance to interview one of the all-time greats in the NBA. As a matter of fact, he's a pastor here in the Metro Atlanta area, and Terry Cummings. And I asked Terry, I said, well, Terry, let me ask you a question. I says, I don't mean to say anything, bro. I said, but you were in ministry while you were playing. And I said, but you were known to be one of the top NBA enforcers. Now, how did that all go together? And he did lean back in his chair. He said, well, brother, it's very simple. He said, we're supposed to do our job as unto the Lord. And he said, my job was to make sure that everyone knew the rules of engagement. And he said, I would let players try to get that. We try to get that message across early in the game. He said, but if in fact a player did not seem to understand the rules, he said, it was my job as the enforcer to show him how the rules operated. He said, that's all. He said, I had no problem with that at all. And you really just don't have that in today's game.
Yeah, he was guys like him and Charles Oakley. Those were the guys that when you need to set a pick.
Yes, sir.
Those were the guys that truly set that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you would be feeling that pick for all the rest of that game. So they took no quarter from anybody. But even not going to that extreme, just the fact that you I need the Hawks to play the way they play against Milwaukee most of the time. I need the Hawks to play the way they play against the 76ers, again, opposite term most of the times, where they are unafraid to go at the Joel Embiids. They're unafraid to go at Giannis. And in some of the other games, I don't see that type of same aggressive energy with other teams that bring a larger lineup. But again, I go back to my original point as what I've said since the Hawks have constructed this team. This is a team that needs to push the ball up court and run, run, run. They need to use their youth. They need to use their athleticism and run the ball and push the ball up court and get easier shots, more layups, and more dunks. Because the other thing too is that creates an energy, especially when they're at home. When I watch this, Tyrone, you've seen it on TV. When these guys get off the break or they do these alley oops, the place just goes berserk. And like I say again, you can't do it all the time, but you need to play those strengths because that's where their skill sets are.
Do you even get that feel when you're in the locker room or when you're around the guys? Do you even get the feel that from them, like sometimes confidence can just ooze out of somebody, just the way they talk, the way they walk. Do you get that when you see them in person, the Hawks? The players, do you get that feeling from them?
Well,
That they're dominant?
it's funny she said. Interestingly enough, the guys I really see it from, believe it or not, do see it from Trey. Trey's like when they try to ask him about his shooting, he's looking, man. He's I've had shooting stunts for 4. He said, I'm gonna get mine. The new guy, the captain, DeJounte Murray, the same kind of energy from him. And believe it or not, the rookie AJ Griffin, but his confidence, as you know, being as we know, being a believer, his confidence all stems from that. He talks about the Lord all the time, and his confidence is kind of like you say to yourself, this is the kind of guy you'd like to see as your son or little brother. And like I said, don't know the guy completely personally, but he just seems to do 2 things. Number one, he seems to be unafraid of any moment, and he just seems to be having a good time. And so those are the guys that I really think about when I think about conference, and of course Okongwu. The rest of the guys, I'm sorry, he just came back. The European bogey. Those guys, especially those guys right there that I mentioned, they have no.
Bogdanovich,
Bogdanovich.
yeah.
Yep. And yeah, I'm sure the rest of the guys are similar. I just think I talk about this a lot. I still think that it's the coach's obligation to draw up a game plan that maximizes his players' skill sets and put them in the best position to make winning plays. I mean, you play for Bill Belichick, you play for other great coaches. You have to know their scheme. You can't go out there and just I can't do that, so I'm not going to do it because you're going to be on the bench. But basically, I'm sure there are things that, 'cause I think you mentioned how he talked to you guys about certain defenses. Hey, is this going to work? How you guys fit in this scheme? That's what a great coach does. He looks at the skill sets of his players and says, what can I do to maximize? So I got this guy. If Tyrone Poole's great at this, I might have him do other things, but I want to really put him in a position where he can constantly be exercising his particular gift and skill set at the highest level that will help us win the game.
Yeah, but how much control do you think Coach Nate really has to say, hey, this is how I wanted it to be done? Do you think he's getting orders down from above?
No, I don't think that. I think that you hit it on the head earlier. I think a lot of times with younger players, they're not as willing to listen. And I think the other problem is that when the game gets close, oftentimes these guys default back to the bad habits. They'll get to this dribble. The ball stops moving around the perimeter, or we'll get 5 seconds in the time clock. Somebody say, hey, I'm open from 35. Boom, I'm gonna shoot a long 3. You can't do that. You have to. When I see the Hawks, I see a team oftentimes that is undisciplined, and and I know, Tyrone, especially late in the game, discipline is paramount because if you don't, a quick surge in momentum can cost you the ball game. You have to stay disciplined. That's what they tell you with any guy that is schemed up defensive. We're talking football now against an option quarterback. What do they tell that defensive end, outside linebacker? They say, hey, man, they said you have to be the contain.
Yeah.
Right? We don't care I don't care if it looks like a reverse. I don't care how many times that quarterback moves the ball. You have to control that edge. because there's a good possibility on one every three of these plays they're coming right back at you. And if you can't hold that edge, baby, it's a big play. And it's the same thing in basketball. It, yeah, is it tempting? Crowds going wild. It's a close game. You're down by two. You're feeling yourself. Nah, man, you have to work the ball around. If you look at the great teams from any era, they move the ball around, oftentimes taking that one extra pass. A guy was open, but he said, there's another guy's really open. And
Yeah,
that's one thing the Hawks don't do. They'll say, hey, I'm open. And we talk to the players, well, Nate said be aggressive. I want to say to him sometimes, dude, he ain't talking about being stupid. I mean, he's talking about work the ball around. And if you are open, take the shot. But the
yeah.
Hawks, that means, hey, oh, well, I'm open now. Let me launch one.
It reminds me of that movie. We say move the ball around. Make sure you get enough passes in. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, Coach Carter with Samuel
Oh, yeah.
Jackson.
It's good movie. Yep.
Yeah, and he's out there coaching the high school kids, and he's saying one more pass, and then the guy takes out maybe the second pass, but like you said, he was open. He took the shot, and Samuel Jackson, who playing Coach Carter, said, "Well, no, one more
One more.
pass." So
One
no, like
more.
you said, when you're open, take the shot. If you're not, keep dishing it, keep passing it. Eventually, somebody's gonna be open.
And like I said, they have to do a better job of keeping the ball moving.
Yeah,
So like I said, you can't have a guy dribble for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds because now you're midway into the clock and you're asking guys to now do a set with half the time remaining, or they go the other direction. They just launch one up. I'm like, dude, it's just. I guess my problem with this team is they don't seem like they listen enough to what the coach is trying to tell them to do. That's all I can really say about it. And I don't know whether it's a disconnect with Nate. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but this team just it doesn't seem to really. Something has happened between the 2020 season when they went on that just phenomenal run, shocked the world, and the team they have now. Now, some of it's because they've traded players. I get that, and it's disrupted some of the chemistry. But yeah, man, I just think they need to. I think they need to play a more up tempo game. I think they need to pass the ball more. I think that would solve a lot of their problems. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know. I will tell you one thing though: the new guy, Dejounte, he got that dog in him, bro. Because players always say this, and maybe you said the same thing, or maybe you actually didn't do it. Players say, "No, man, I'm paying attention to social media. That's just outside noise. I don't listen to that." Well, there was a lot of buzz on Twitter about the Hawks, and we know this was not a fake Twitter handle because it had the official blue logo. And DeJounte Murray said, "Hey, all you blank blank fans out there, y'all need to make up your mind. Either ride with us or get off the ship." He said, "I'm telling you right now, we got a good team." So there's no question that Mr. Murray, he like, look, man, I don't know what y'all thinking, but eventually we're gonna win. And so hopefully, that's all I can say, bro. At this point, the good thing is that we're just about a third of the way into the season. And if you want to take your lumps and bumps, I'd rather have them ice cold now and be hot at the end than to do what another great Hawk team did several years ago when I first started covering them when they won a record breaking. They went 19-0 in the month of January. 19-0. And unfortunately, found themselves eventually not getting to the NBA finals and actually getting swept by LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers 4-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'd rather just see them if they're going to have hiccups and have problems. I'd rather see it now.
well, I'm pretty sure that team that you saw go 19-0, they probably didn't do what Murray. You said he tweeted or responded back to the fans.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that team that went 19-0, they didn't care nothing about what the fans said. Every brother in that locker room played for each other. Okay, and they all understood the fans gonna love you, they gonna hate you. But as soon as you start worried about what outside people are talking about, now you gotta ask yourself: are you trying to impress your teammates, your coaches, or are you trying to get a couple more followers and likes on your videos? I don't know. Play for your teammates. That's what I would say. Forget about what the fans say.
Well, I can tell you that Hawks team, I think it was the 2015-2016 team. That run that they had there, I think they between January and February, they were just almost unbeatable. And it was because they had found a magic elixir. Coach Bud, who coached the Milwaukee Bucks to a title, ironically, he found that team was the sum of its parts. And he actually created a team that played so well. Even though these guys really weren't superstars, not one, not two, but four of the Hawks starting five actually were selected to the All-Star team. Two of them had started and two of them backups. And these guys were no, like I said, they were no superstars, but they bought totally into Coach Bud's system, and they worked it about as good as any team I've seen here in Atlanta. And we really and no great run, like I said again in 2020, and unfortunately the run fizzled out in the Eastern Conference Finals. But until they had a couple of injuries, that Hawks team had all the makings of an NBA title. It's just a shame they had a couple of injuries late to some key players, and it kind of threw them off. But yeah, man, that's what they need. They need the ability to say, okay, this is what we do. We run the ball and we're moving. Okay. And we're going to stay with that. And that's it. I'm just saying. So that's my thoughts on the Hawks. I just think, like I said again, they need to move the ball, they need to push it. They need to stay away from these, dribble, and everybody run around, scramble, and panic. And I think if they would do that, I think they really would have a good team because, again, they have everything else in. They got good rebounding. They have decent shooting. They need to get some improvement in three-point shooting for sure. And they have guys that can cut to the basket and score and play over the rim. So I'm like, hey, man, use what you got. Use your speed, use your youth, use your jumping ability, athletic ability, and make teams play to you, which they do in spurts, but not enough to be consistent. So that's all I got to say about that, guys. Listen, you guys need to keep it locked right here. We're going to shift gears and shift gears and talk about football. We'll be back in just a moment with more of the Real Talk Sports Show. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back.
Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
My man, JB Smooth. Appreciate him. Appreciate all the people that jumped in. And actually, a lot of the folks from ESPN and a lot of top stars will be back here in just a few weeks because the college football semifinals will be here as the Georgia Bulldogs really will be hosting the Ohio State Buckeyes. Or let me get it right. The Ohio State Buckeyes. So it should be an interesting matchup. And, of course, Michigan taking on TCU. We'll kind of hang on a second here to hope that the tree will jump back in and join us here in just a bit. Now, before we do that, I'm going to go back to high school football for 1 second here because my man Todd, always have to throw some shade. So he has thrown some comments against Langston Hughes. He said that the guys in Langston Hughes were dirty. Said stepped on some players, and the Gainesville coach did not shake the hands of the Panthers coach at the end of the game. Well, I didn't get a chance to see the whole game because the GSHA is kind of funny about the credentialing process for the state championship, so we're getting a chance to see it up close. But I didn't see that in the part of the game I was watching. I just saw it was a hard-hitting game. Langston Hughes sometimes they do get some penalties now for being a little over-aggressive on defense. I will say that, but I didn't see him step on anybody. So, Todd, if that's what you saw, brother, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. What I saw was a Langston Hughes team that kind of caught. It was almost like watching a boxing match. Everything was close. It was 9-6 with about 3 minutes to go. And then Langston Hughes got the ball on a short field, scored. And then on the ensuing kickoff, I think the first play after the kickoff, there was a fumble by Gainesville, and Langston Hughes scored again. So they turned a very close game into a 23-6 game. And even though Gainesville played phenomenally in the second half, it's hard, man. As you know, Tyrone, when you're playing against another championship team, you get down a couple of scores, that things can get. It's tough to come back from that.
Yeah, that's why they call it a championship game, man. It becomes chess, not checkers.
Yes, sir. So again, I want to give a big shout out to the folks in Langston Hughes. Oh, and the other thing too. Oh my gosh, Cedar Grove Saints, Tyrone. They had to live up to their name. Two-time defending Class 3A champion, having a battle royale with another school south of I-20, Sandy Creek from down in a team named after your team, town named after you, Tyrone, Georgia. They were going back and forth, 17-14 lead, and Sandy Creek had gotten the ball down inside the 5-yard line of the Cedar Grove Saints. So Cedar Grove bowled up to make what apparently was going to be a goal line stand. Running back plunged into the line, stopped at about the 1.5-yard line from all camera angles that we saw. But the referee said, touchdown. I have never seen such an egregious call in my life. I mean, you could hear the people, like a lot of people had posted on Instagram, you can hear the people hollering in the back of the video, hey, you didn't get it. And I mean, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I feel very bad for the Cedar Grove Saints. I think that call took away what still could have been a win for Sandy Creek, but just a bad, horrific call to let a team not be able to take a shot to really defend and possibly do something that would have been unprecedented for their program, run a third consecutive state title. Yeah, just a bad call. I don't know what they're going to do, man. Can they? I don't know if they're going to be able to run instant replay or what, but it was, yeah, it was something bad. Here we go. All right, here we go. Todd said he's going to send me a video of some of the bad stuff they did. Well, Todd, let me ask you a question. Did you see the bad call I just mentioned with the Cedar Grove game? You need to talk to me about that. So, he said it. Yep. Say, yep. They should replay that game. Yeah, that was just a real crazy thing. But anyway, let me get back to our college football matchup here. All right, what do you think, Tyrone, should Georgia be an overwhelming favorite, or do you think Ohio State creates a matchup problem where they can knock off the Bulldogs because they have the ability with a Heisman Trophy type quarterback to get the ball and hit Georgia in their weak spot?
Well, one of Ohio State's strength is when you come to running the ball, throwing the ball, they throw the ball a little bit better than they run the ball. So does that allow Georgia to really sit back in a non-aggressive defense and take away the passing zones? Probably so. So I think in order for Ohio State to really compete in this game, they're going to have to establish the run. They're going to have to establish the run and let the run build up their passing game. But if they come out and they don't really create an effective running game, they're not going to beat Georgia. Because Georgia can sit back and manipulate their pass defense. They don't have to put their corners in or safeties or linebackers in positions where, like you talked about earlier about basketball, putting them in situations where it doesn't benefit the player or the defense. So I think Ohio State is going to have to run the ball very heavily and effectively against Georgia. If they can't run the ball, it's going to be a long day for them.
Now, it's interesting you talk about them running the ball because I think that they're going to need a little play action, but I think they're going to have to be able to get some pass protection because to me, that seems to be the one flaw in the Georgia defense, and it has been actually for a couple of years, except for last year. I think their front seven, once again, is one of the best in the country, but I'm not sure about your fellow DBs back there in Georgia. I think that if you can give that quarterback some time, they can get beat deep. I think the teams can get behind them. No one's really been able to do that.
Well, how do you give the quarterback time to throw the ball? Like you said, you mentioned play action. You got to run the ball. If you want to slow down a defensive line, what do? You run the ball. That slows them down. But if you can't run the ball, then yes, they're going to tee off because they have to worry about the run. So they got to run the ball. They run the ball, they give their quarterback more time to throw the ball, okay? Because now the linebackers, they're going to fall for the play action. because they got to come up. Oh, it's play action. They're going to move up. Then they try to drop back into coverage. While they're doing that, the wide receiver, they're running highs and lows in front. They run a low in front of the linebacker. They got a high receiver behind him. So basically, that's what the play action does. It forces the linebackers to come up so you can create that passing lane behind them. So if they can't run the ball, then the play action ain't going to do no good. They got to run the ball. They got to hand that ball off downhill and run it. If they can't hand that ball off downhill and run it, and they got to always rely on the play action, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, so since you mentioned that their ability to run the ball, they are an offensive juggernaut. I mean, there's no question that they can put them up there. They 44.5 points a game for the Buckeyes, a total of 492 yards of total offense per game.
Now, you talking about now, when I looked at them, they were Michigan, because we had talked about Michigan and Ohio State. They were kind of opposite. Michigan was ranked higher in the NCAA when it came to running the ball. Ohio State was not. Ohio State was kind of like in the 15s in that area right there from, with my memory serving me correctly. They probably changed. Stats change all the time. But then when it came to passing the ball, Michigan was kind of down and Ohio State was above them in passing the ball. So based off of my looking at the stats, unless they have changed, and they're really like balanced now where they can run and throw the ball. For what I saw, Ohio State throws the ball better than they run the ball.
Oh, there's no question. No, what I was saying is, though, it's not like they can't run at all. They still are averaging.
Run the ball. I'm not saying they can't.
Right. So I'm agreeing with you. They still are averaging about, believe it or not, they're averaging 198 yards a game on the ground. I was figuring they were much lower than that, but I'm looking at stats here on ESPN. They said their average this year was 198.5 a game on the ground. Now they do a little bit differently than Michigan. Michigan has the young man, I think it was Cormer, the guy, before he got kind of injured, was a Heisman Trophy candidate, and they kind of spread it around a little bit more in Ohio State. They have a couple of backs that can do the job for him. The big guy is Williams, 125 carries, 817 yards, and 13 touchdowns for the Buckeyes. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you. The play action fake is going to have to work, but they're also going to need to be able to, from time to time, man, they're going to have to be able to strap it up, man, and hold that front seven. And if they can do that, I think they can get the Bulldogs for a couple of big plays downfield.
Well, we're going to have to see. Again, Georgia's only allowing 12.8 points a game, and I think that's one of the biggest stats that a team can carry is the points they allow, not the yards they give up. You can go up and down the field. You can go up and down the field all you want on my defense. You can put up 1,000 yards combined on my defense. But if you only walk away with 6 points, 7 points, that's all I care about. How many points are you scoring? So right now, the Bulldog defense, they only giving up 12 points. So, they take pride in that.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, man. I think the whole thing, again, is going to get down to, can Ohio State hit Georgia for a couple of big plays deep? I don't think they're going to be able to slug it out with them by any means, because, like I said, that front seven is one of the best in the country. And for Georgia, they're going to have to control the tempo of that game. They're going to have to really grind it out, get some long drives, and keep C.J. Stroud and that very potent Ohio State offense off the field. If Georgia can do that, look for them to keep doing what they've been doing all year, which is win ball games. All right, before we take a break here, I see him in the green room, so I'm going to bring him on real quick. Before we go to the green room, he's the embedded sports writer for AJC Sports for our Atlanta Falcons. He also is an Esquire par excellence and wears a mean fedora from time to time. I'm talking about the one and only D. Orlando Ledbetter is back in the building. What's up, D-Led?
Hey, Reverend. How you doing today? And how you doing, Brother Pooh? Thanks for having me on today.
You led.
And you can see you got a hat on, boys. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, D-Led, before we take a break and then come back and talk about what on earth is going on Flowery Branch, who you like in that Georgia and Ohio State game and why?
I think Georgia has got the elite defense, a lot of pro prospects over there. Buckeyes have a fine quarterback and some receivers, a good perimeter game, but not enough beef on that Ohio State defense for my liking. So I'm thinking Georgia's going to have a good path to return to defend their national championship.
Yeah, and we're trying to wait for the tree to come back. D-Led, she's out there to karaoke, man. She's doing karaoke for a cause with
Mhm.
Miss Shanita Foster. So she's the queen is singing. I'm so sorry we couldn't go out there and catch that live, but it was a little bit too loud in there. But yeah, man, yeah, I think Georgia should be able to win. But like I said again, they're going to really have to watch out and make sure they keep some pressure on Stroud because I just think that the weak spot for the Bulldogs is that defensive backfield. And I think that they can get got, especially on deep plays if Stroud has time. So look for Kirby to dial up some exotic stuff from time to time to keep them all balanced to make sure they get the win. All right, guys, I know you Falcon fans are waiting for this because it's crazy what has been going on in the NFL and crazy what's been going on with the Falcons as well. So we'll talk some NFL football and then the Falcons have made a change. We'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. Don't go nowhere.
The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice.
All right, we're back, guys. It's me, the Minister Jonathan Simmons. Right next to me, the Orlando Ledbetter, and underneath me, the champion, Tyrone Poole. All right, before we talk a little Falcons, few little NFL things to touch on. First of all, what do both of you guys think if you saw any of Deshaun Watson's performance so far being back with the Browns? He looked really rusty.
Yeah, I haven't. I just noticed the results 1-1. My Cleveland people report that the second game was a lot better than the first, but not enough to beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals. But yeah, the second game was a lot better than the first, but nothing to write home about right now.
Tyrone, did you get a chance to catch anything or hear about Deshaun Watson's play at Cleveland?
Well, again, football's ultimate team sport. So, but I understand everybody want to concentrate on Deshaun Watson. That's how they write papers. That's how they sell articles. That's how they get people to come to the website, right? You talk about the person that everybody wants to hear about. But again, you look at Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb only had 34 yards. And Deshaun Watson was right behind him with 33. So you look at the fact that Deshaun threw the ball 42 times, completed 26 for 276, and then he ran the ball 6 times, scrambled for 33 yards. I say, on a good day, on a win, if they had won, that would have been considered a pretty good day. All right. Because I'm like, he 26 of 42. Do the math on that as far as completion percentage. But like I said, I think Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they didn't help him out at all.
Well, there you go. And bro, because you played the game. Yeah, I think the first game he was very rusty. Second game, it looks like from what we can see, looking more like Deshaun Watson. I don't know where Tree is because I know she's going to shout out about her Detroit Lions. I mean, those guys are red hot. The Lions look like, man, if they get the playoffs, I don't know if anybody want to mess with them.
Yeah, they're putting up points. They took it to Minnesota. A lot of people were wondering why they were favored in the game, and looked like Vegas had that one right.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, Detroit really looked good, man. I mean, look, they had a good offense early on, but it looks like it's kind of all put it together here. So, yeah, man. Yeah, you better watch out for those Lions. They could be some trouble. And
they got to stop people on defense, though. Again, their offense, like you said, was pretty good. But I'm just looking at where they are now. 6-7. Everybody's hooraying about that. It's like the game this year, football this year. It seemed like ever since they went to that 17-game season, man, it's like it just, it's just so much, just equality across the field. Like I said, I'm not used to that. I'm used to, like, shoot, if you beat somebody down, you probably only had maybe 2 teams in that division that really stood out. One team really stood out in the conference, but now it seems like everybody, man. I still think it got to do something to do with DraftKings and Caesar Palace and all that stuff, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking here.
Yeah, no, I think Tyron, you could point to this the way the NFL wanted it. Pete Rozelle, it's documented and why we got everybody's designed to go 8-8. With the free agency, the cap, you can only spend so much money. The Steelers of the 78 would never be assembled because you would have to get rid of half the team because you couldn't pay them all. That's where we can and betting's already been there, so it's not that DraftKings. No, that's not new. They've been betting on the NFL since day one. They knew it was a problem. With going back to Burt Bell, the first commissioner who banned betting by the players. So yeah, betting's a part of it. But parity and the structure of the league is the what makes the teams have to come back to the pack when they do get it right in the drafting and so forth. So and the windows are smaller now too. You put together a good team and you can't keep it together for long. So that's why you see people going up and down as quick as they're going up and down nowadays. And nobody's ever to sustain greatness over a long period of time. Other than New England, and then there was some alleged allegations going along with that. So not taking anything away from you, brother Pooh, but that's out there.
I gotta say something. I'm gonna say a couple things. When you go back to the gambling, the way I look at it, D-Led, it's like the prohibition days. Okay, back in the day, people were doing it undercover.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then the government said, you know what?
We need our cut.
Money. That money. We make our money.
Our cut.
Yes, so now it's like you don't have to worry about trying to tell somebody, hey, I need you to score about 10 points for me this week now. So so that's why I say a little bit of gambling or what have you. But because they got to make the spread, they got to cover that spread. And as far as it goes as far as the play, everybody's trying to get an edge. I still remember back in the day, Bill Walsh and Bill Parcells, 49ers and the Giants. Back in the day, real great teams in the 80s and late 80s. And there was a documentary where Bill Parcells said that every time they went out in Candlestick to play when they called it Candlestick Stadium back in the day, every time they went to the West Coast to play the 49ers, for some reason, their headsets would go out in the first quarter. Now, if anybody know anything about the Bill Walsh offense, they got 15 unscripted plays, so to speak. They already know the first 15 plays that they're going to run. So the rules in the NFL, again, everybody trying to get an edge. It's just some people get caught, some people don't. Everybody cheating on their taxes to a point. They're going to say, I'm not. But everybody trying to look for a way, how can I get an advantage, okay? But if anybody understands the rules of the NFL, if one team can't use their headsets, then nobody can use their headsets.
Right.
So again, everybody, man, everybody. I even tell people playing defensive back. I tell them if you ain't holding, you on the bench. If you ain't holding no receivers, don't hold. Man, look at here. You show me one corner who doesn't hold, and I'll finish with this. Eric Davis told me this. He said, Tyrone, if you hold 100 times, do you think they're gonna throw 100 flags? No. You got to pick and choose when you hold, baby. You got to pick and choose.
Hey, look. Hey, listen, Mr. Defensive Back, from back in my day and D-Led's day, they would have never banned Stickman, but Marcus and them guys used to put so much on. They just, man, they used to do, what was it, Lester Hayes?
Lester Hayes and Fred Biletnikoff started it.
Man, them guys would put so much on. They said, dude, we can't operate like that. There were times they used to wipe the ball off. They had so much stick them on there. It was like, dude, we can't do it this. Yeah. So anyway, it was just,
Hey, they couldn't even walk around. I got a joke, and I know we're going with the show. But you guys ever seen that movie, the Little Giants, about kids?
Yeah, the statue of whatever.
Yeah, it was this kid who actually, Jonathan made me think about it. He couldn't catch the ball. He was fast. And he was fast as all outdoors. He just couldn't catch the ball. So they put some what you call in his hands, man, to try to help him to learn how to focus on catching
like this.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Ball was like couldn't do anything, man. Anything he picked up. But that's it, man. So all that stuff always gets adjusted, man, over time. When somebody gets the competitive edge, they just they're not gonna let them do it. All right. D-Led, what on earth? First of all, I'm gonna say this again. They've been getting on me, D-Led. Tyrone and Tree, and even some degree you guys are telling me, hey, they shouldn't play this kid. He's not ready. Here's what I'm thinking. To me, this move is a couple of games too late. They should have done it when they had the mini break. I think if they did when they had the mini break, this team would be in first place in the NFC South. That's me. But anyway, what has happened up there? Todd is going wild. He's saying D-Led DeMarcus quit. And does the coach think so? What was the feeling that you got at that press conference from what went down?
Yeah, they're basically done, Reverend. Their percentage is 5% of making the playoffs. So at some point they were going to take a look at the quarterback. I thought it was going to be when they were eliminated, and they're doing it now where they're essentially eliminated and have enough time to get him ready to play. So they told both of the guys on Thursday. On Friday, Marcus decides he wants to get his chronic knee checked out. So it looks like everybody's hurt at this time of the year. The coach wanted him to stay and help Desmond out. Right now, he's not with the team. If you want to say that's quitting, you're free to do so. And he's probably headed to IR. Now, the Falcons are going to be in trouble if he's saying that if they're gonna put him on IR he's never been on the injury report. So they got to hey, we don't look good putting you on IR. You haven't been on the injury report. We're open to a fine. And then there's the thing out there about a significant other having a baby. Falcons. So what? Jay Matthews flew from Charlotte to the baby and then back to Charlotte to play in the game. So, just because you got a baby, you don't get the time off. It's not the family leave act here. You want to be professional, okay? And it doesn't sound like the Marcus Mariota is being very professional and handling this benching very well. At this time of the season, Tyrone knows it. Everybody's got a chronic something that the doctor needs to look at the end of the season. They're going to do that with all the players. So for him to say I can't stand on the sidelines and hold the clipboard and maybe help the kid out reeks of unprofessionalism. Yeah, we know you had a kid and everything. That's good. But, they're paying you millions of dollars to play football. And if this is indeed a quit situation, you basically just retired yourself. So that's where we're at. Now they're trying to get Desmond ready to play. They brought in Woodside. He won't be much help. But they think they can call the game with Ritter, and they're going to see what they got. And if they got a quarterback, then they can move on. If they don't, they'll be back up there drafting another quarterback next year.
Well, I think you're going to light them up. I think that you were in the hunt with a guy that was ranked 27th and 28th overall. And I got to believe that this guy is better than that. I just think that, I would not be shocked if they won 3 of the next 4 games, won all 4. None of them would shock me because Tampa Bay suddenly, man, they done fell off the rails. Now I know they're playing a very good San Francisco team, but I mean, they don't look that good either. So,
I tell you this about Ritter. He's gonna probably come out and have a so-so game because it's not a lot of footage on him.
Mm-hmm.
Footage. He'll probably have the last 2 or 3 games. He'll probably get better and better. Everybody will be like, yeah, see, I told you he should have been in there. And then during the offseason, the coach, they're going to get that film. They're going to start breaking him down. And really, next year is what you're really going to be able to see what you got. Okay, he may finish out and, maybe do good because there's not enough film on him. Okay, they don't know what to prepare for. But these defense coordinators are smart. Now, as far as Marcus Mariota, isn't he the same guy that said, you know what, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get rid of everything I got and whatever he needs? Is he the same guy that said that?
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think I like Tannehill better now.
Well, I'm be honest, I'm shocked. I mean, I really thought that Marcus, he had a reputation of being a stand-up guy, being a man of faith. And I thought, I'm just stunned when I saw this whole thing unfold in front of me. I'm like, it just seemed like he'd be that kind of guy. And it really seemed like when you watched him in early press conferences, it seemed like he had resigned himself to know, hey, I'm not going to be starting for long. That just to me, when I looked at Ritter, he exuded confidence, and Mariota, like every time I saw him, he just looked like blase. He looked like
Yeah.
la di da. So I mean, maybe it's me. All right, Tyrone Todd is teasing you. He's saying, hey man, you like a Debbie Downer, man. He's throwing the cold water on oh my
No.
man. Oh, buddy boy. All right, what else? Okay, we're looking at this situation with this change. All right, what D-Led do you think are some of the keys, strengths that could allow Ritter to perform well? And then what would you think be some of the negative? Obviously, outside the biggest one, him being a rookie.
Yeah, well, what I did, Reverend, I went back. We've been watching him, but I went back to the draft. There's a reason why he didn't go into the third round. Okay, so let's just go in there with that. Let's not act like they drafted Trevor Lawrence here. Okay, it's not John Elway. Okay, so I go back to the draft and find out, deep balls have a tendency to come up short. Give safety time to range over the top from the post. Average arm strength for tight window throws. Wind up slows overall release quickness. Slower operation time led to 26 career batted passes per Pro Football Focus. And there are a few other things. Struggling and throwing receivers open. Inconsistent accuracy and on intermediate throws. Okay, it's some more. I'll have everything in AJC.com, but we got to start with that. Okay, that's exactly what Marcus Mariota wasn't doing. Wasn't being accurate, couldn't hit the deep balls. Off on an intermediate throws, averaging 155 yards rushing a game. That's exactly who they said this guy was coming into the draft. And that's the bad part. The good part, he's a leader. He's humble. They compare him to Alex Smith. One AFC scout said, he's a humble leader who leads by example, and football is important to him. You will never have to worry about whether he's working on his game to get better. So now we need some protection. We need the players around him to make some plays. And then when it's time to hit that ball over the top, he's got to hit it. They're not asking him to throw for 300 yards. He's going to be basically handing it off a lot. He's going to be basically, play action, throwing the ball to Drake London a lot. So that's what they're going to ask him to do, and they think they can win that way. Get some more conversions on third down, stay on the field, keep the defense off. But he's got to hit the passes. That's all they want is a little bit uptick in the passing game is what Coach Smith talked about. And he says we got to get the offense over the hump. It's performing at, you got the number 4 rushing offense on one side and the 31st pass offense. He just needs you to move up to like 25. And that's probably 20 more yards a game, with a big play in there. So he's not asking for much. Don't expect the Rook to go in there and drop back 30, 42 times like Deshaun did. Deshaun, that 26 to 42, Tyrone, that was 62%. So I was digging up my phone there for a second. But yeah, so that's what they're asking him to do. We'll get to see some practice on Wednesday and Thursday, the first the scripted part of it. And so we'll see how that looks, see how the throws look, and see how the windup is if they worked on that. Because, David Ragone and Charles London have been working with him all season. And hopefully some of those things that cause him to go to the third round, those are some of the things they've been working on.
D-Led, before I go back to Tyrone, you done got Todd so excited, bro. He said he feels it's one of your best takes ever. And he had to put the applause thing. You done shook him up, bro. You finally got
finally got Todd.
Finally got Todd, buddy boy. Yeah, he's good to go. All right, we got a new guest here. We got Sullivan. Sullivan says that Marcus leaving like this is stupid on his half, and a good thing that we got a new quarterback. Yeah, like D-Led summed it up, Sullivan, that he basically has ended his career in the NFL. Yeah, you can't, and Tyrone said it earlier, that kind of move is unprofessional. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I say this, not if, but when Desmond Ritter starts. We look at all of the rookie class for this year. Of course, Kenny Pickett is starting for the Steelers. Malik Willis, had a little bit of opportunity. They out there say he running around.
Yeah, he's running.
But then, go ahead. What you say, Jonathan?
Dude, listen. I mean, it was exciting, bro. But I mean, like, what's the name said? Nah, bro, you gotta come over here. You can't be doing this. I mean, this not college, bro. You can't be running around like that. Come on to the bench, son. Yep.
Nah, he gonna get killed out there running around like that.
Say, come on.
You gotta have a plan there, young fella.
Yep.
Yeah. You got Bailey Zappi. He came. Had a few little snaps. Then you got Brock Purdy. He had a little bit of stint. So, some of these rookies are getting an opportunity, to get out there. So Desmond Ritter, he's going to add his name to the stats for the rookies this year. And hopefully, he'll fare well. I'm pretty sure they're going to come in with a kind of a turtle, slow pace, probably warm him up by letting him throw a little flare pass, maybe a quick out, something to kind of, get that nervousness out of his body. So, So if I'm on defense, you know what? I'm telling everybody the first quarter or the first couple of throws that he has, we're not even going to play the deep ball. We're gonna play everything short because that's what they're going to do with it. Try to throw it short. Get the ball out of his hand quick. Get it out of his hands quick.
Well, our man Sullivan says, yep, you got to keep your head on. And he said, you got to give him some time, tip that deep ball. And then he said, we got some young blood now, like 1998. Well, that's a big step. But I will say this. This is what I think about Desmond Ritter. I think that he gives you now a legitimate chance to win these games because I'm going to go back to the same thing. I'm not expecting this guy to come in and to all of a sudden be a rookie of the year. But I know he got to be better than ranked 28th overall in passing. I know, D-Led, that he's got to have the ability to average 175 yards in passing. And because you're there all the time, that's all the Falcons really need. And that's what Coach Smith was talking about. We don't need a guy to go out and sling it for 300 yards. What we do need, though, if you can get a quarterback to give you 175 to 200 yards, the Falcons are going to be a tough out because they're going to still get their 150 to 160 on the ground. They're going to shorten that game. That's the other thing the coach talks about all the time. Limit the number of reps that the other team gets, which is going to keep your defense fresh. Yeah, man, I just think that I could be wrong, but I would not be shocked that the Falcons don't run the table or go 3-1 in his last 4 games.
Let me ask G-Led this. Now, I'm a firm believer that skills play a part of success, someone's success. But really, it's the mentality that causes you to go to the next level. Mm-hmm. Do you think Ritter has that ability? And if he does have that, okay, that's the one thing that I'll sink my teeth in to say that, you know what, he could surprise a whole lot of people. So D-Led, you're around him all the time. You see him. Man, how is his demeanor? Does he look like he can eat glass and chew up nails? Or what do you think about his mentality?
Yeah, I went all the way back to Louisville. He's a Louisville St. X guy. And, I got a lot of people that, know the Kentucky, Ohio area football-wise. And, Chris Redmond going, back to Louisville. Brahms getting the coaching job. I know he's covering Louisville when Big Play Ray was starting out. So the people from there said, hey, he's a winner. He's that kind of gym ratty guy. Same thing at St. X. Usually at the Catholic school powerhouses, that's where I played at. You don't get on the field till you're a junior or a senior because you got guys in front of you. And he got on the field as a freshman. And that's unheard of even in Kentucky, definitely unheard of in Ohio. And then when he gets to UC, he was recruited by Zach Taylor, coach of the Bengals. He was at Cincinnati at the time. And, they go out to UCLA. And the veteran gets hurt. They're supposed to be Chip Kelly's opening game. They scheduled the Bearcats because they're trying to schedule a dub. Ritter goes out there and beats him. So, he's a gamer. He's a winner. Yeah, it doesn't look great sometimes. We saw him in the Georgia game where, they had the lead, led Georgia the whole time. and then he had to drive it down the field to score and couldn't do it. We saw the Alabama game where they couldn't keep up with them in the college football playoffs, but the kid won 44 games, 44-6 over his time at Cincinnati. And he just won. He won a lot. They scored a lot. They came from behind a lot. The guy's a gamer. That's the book that I got on him, and and he talks a good game too when you see him up close and even off to the side. We talked about. I showed him my picture of Oscar Robinson's statue outside of the Shoemaker Center in Cincinnati. I was like, "Hey, you gonna get one of these?" I was like, I'm gonna be right there, and you can get on this side, D-Led, Big O, and you. so that's where I went to law school at. But I think he's a gamer. Now I want to see him make some plays, though. I want to see him make some plays against, he made some plays in exhibition season. I want to see him make some plays against some NFL players now.
Let me ask you this, D-Led, my last question. Now, in the type of offense that Coach Smith really wants to run, do you really think, he really wants to run the ball? He wants that Derrick Henry type of guy again. So with that being said, would it really matter if Ridder can throw the deep ball? He just got to be smart with the ball.
Right. It's a couple throws you got to make. You got to make that in cut, the A.J. Brown throw is what I call it, because, they would fake it to Henry and throw the in cut to A.J. Brown. And Tannehill saved his career throwing that ball. You got to be able to throw that one. And then you see the one where they do throw a 9 up the sideline. Pitts, they were trying to throw it to Pitts. They hit Cordarrelle Patterson on one of those last year with Matt Ryan to win the Saints game. So then the Demir Bird play action post off of the stretch right where the quarterback boots back around. You got to be able to hit that one, to Demir Bird. We saw that in the Cincinnati game. So that's going to keep people out of the box, and Mariota just couldn't hit none of those routes on a consistent basis. He was hitting his check downs a lot better than he was hitting the big gainers that they were trying to strike the defenses with and make them pay.
Yeah, and here's a statement from me. I feel like I always tell people when it comes to like defensive backs, and they talk about speed. I don't think, and this is going to tie into what you're talking about, D-Led, about certain throws you have to make as a quarterback in that offense of Coach Smith. I tell people, they always saying, "Hey, can you make me faster as a defensive back? I need to run faster." I tell them, I say, really, a 4-3 really doesn't really matter as a corner to a point. A 4-3 comes in play when you get beat. You got to try to make up. Yeah, really.
Closing speed.
Yeah, exactly. Closing speed. But to be a great defensive back, you got to have hips and feet. Right. Hips and feet and recognition. Okay. If you got hips and feet and recognition, you can be a hell of a corner. Okay. The speed is just the icing on the cake. All right. So as a quarterback, all right, I think, and I tell people, if you look at a college game or a pro game, they only throw about 3 deep balls a game.
Right.
About 3 deep balls a game on average. Okay. Rest of the throws are 0 to 20 yards out from where that ball is. So like you said, D-Led, kind of piggybacks a little bit of what you're talking about. Those quarterbacks that can throw that route tree up to 20 yards, even a post corner is really, a corner route is not really considered, it's deep, but really, it's not like throwing that 9 route where you just sitting back and just throwing the ball as far as you can. You still trying to throw the ball to a spot, So I always tell people, I think, as a quarterback, if they can make them throws from 20 yards out, from 0 to 20 yards out, that's a pretty good quarterback. And as far as a defensive back, if you can cover the routes from the slant all the way up to the dig, then you can stay a long time in the NFL. That deep ball, that's a high percentage throw. And if you get a defensive lineman in the face of that quarterback, come on. So, but no, I'm kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, D-Led. You certain throws you got to be able to make if you want to stay in this league.
Let's go to social media real quick as we get down to the final minutes here. Our new guy here, Sullivan. Sullivan says, there's going to be, you should take a look at Ridder's preseason games. And I'm with you, brother. I can't believe he ain't started him this long either. But that's a whole nother story. And he says eventually we'll be fine. Todd's got a question for you, D-Leb, before you wrap it up. He said, how does it play out with Marcus? Do we still have to pay him?
Yeah, he's under contract for next year, but it's negligible. So they're not going to waive him right now, is what I've been told. They're going to let him go through his hissy fit, and he maybe shows up tomorrow, maybe he doesn't. But right now, he's on allegedly getting his chronic knee checked out, and then the baby news came out. So his defenders are saying, "Well, man, can't the guy?" leave to tend to his baby and blah, blah, blah. And then the other side is like, hey, quit on a team. So somewhere between those two is where we're going to end up. We don't get that much money back from him. It was only a moderate contract for 2 years with the 1 year out, basically. But if they get something better, they'll probably move on to that. This Logan Whiteside kid's been around for 4 years, but he's kind of small. 6'1", 213. I'm thinking they could find something better than that over the offseason. But we'll wish him the best as he comes in here into a tough situation.
Yeah, I just think that Ritter is going to shock the world, buddy, because when I look at his stats, like you mentioned, D-Led, this is a kid that's played everywhere he's went as a freshman. And I'm looking here at his numbers from Cincinnati as a freshman, played in 13 games, hit 62% of his passes, threw for 2,400 yards. And here's the thing I like, 20 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Next year, the sophomore stepped back a little bit, 18 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Percentage in terms of passing went down. Junior year, he was lights out. A guy hit 66% of his passes, 19 touchdowns, only 30 and only 6 interceptions. And of course, when they went to the Final Four or the college playoffs, he was magnificent. 30 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, at a 158.7 quarterback rating. And even though he could not get his team to victory, the reason why I wanted to draft him was he did not look scared against playing against one of the great defenses of all time in Georgia, and then a legendary team in Alabama who had been there many, many times. Again, they had opportunities. They couldn't get over the top, but they were just outclassed. But in no time did I see him start slinging the ball around. I think between those 2 games, I think he only had 2 interceptions. And that's the other thing I liked. He didn't turn the ball over. So, yeah, man, I think that he's going to shake up the world. And, again, I'm going out on the limb again. The preacher is saying 3-1 or 4-0 for Ritter.
Yeah, Reverend, that's right on. He definitely they got to halftime against Alabama in pretty good shape, and Brian Robinson just wore down that defense because they played a nickel. They played that 4-2-5 and were blitzing their backers and stuff to try to stop the run. They didn't have a bulk. They didn't have a 0-4-3 thumper type defense to go shut down the running back. But definitely, and 3-1 is certainly possible. The Saints, they're underdogs, so they might lose that. But they're playing the Ravens and the Cardinals without Lamar Jackson and Kyler. So, and then, by the time Tampa Bay just looks like they hate each other right now. So, you might as well go and take it to them. So 3-1 is definitely possible. That'll get you to 8-9. That's a 1-game improvement. And then you're at a launching pad to take off next season because you had 2 pretty good seasons. You put some things in place. You got some attitudes out of the building that were in there, and you hopefully develop some players. And then now you got money, and now you maybe even have a quarterback, and maybe you can get into this mode that Detroit's in right now, where you're really showing signs of improvement on the field and winning football games.
Well, that's my man Sullivan. Sullivan says we'll be fine, and he's absolutely correct. Like I said again, now keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, remember, a 4-0 could get you somewhere that you didn't think you might go, because 4-0 puts you at 9-8, and that could put you into the playoffs. I know everybody will say, playoffs? That's right. 4-0 finish gets the Falcons to the playoffs. Anyway, that's all I got to say about this, because we got to go. And guys, before we go, we always want to make sure that you know all about how to find out more about our guests. Follow them on social media and the like. So, D. Orlando Ledbetter, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Reverend. You can find me on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC, on the gram at DOrlandoLed, and all of our work is on AJC.com. Thanks for having me, Reverend, And Tyrone, you all take care and have a great evening.
See you later. Hey.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, Mr. Tyrone Poole, the floor is yours.
First and foremost, I want to say, prayers and concerns for the Leach family. Mike Leach, as we know, suffered a heart attack and lost his life. So I want to give shouts out to him. Sad situation. Prayers go out to his family. But you can follow me on all social media. Tyrone Poole 38. Tyrone Poole 38, all social media. Thank you.
There you go. Tyrone Poole, thank you. All right, guys, we're wrapping it up here. We always like to kind of make sure, that you guys all know that there's an important person that you need to know, and his name is Jesus Christ. If you don't know him, I appeal to you, please, man, please circle it on today. Nobody loves you like Jesus, not your mom, not your auntie, not your babe, not your boo. Not only does he love you, but he died for you and he rose from the dead. And if you repent of your sins and believe that, two wonderful things will happen. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, you become an adopted child of God with all the rights therein. And what does that mean to you? That means you can out and go to the creator of the universe like a loving parent, ask him for anything you need or desire. According to his will, he'll grant it to you. And number two, if and when you die, you go to that spectacular place called heaven where there's none of the following: no pain, no pandemic, no bad people anywhere. It is sunny and beautiful at all times because the glory of God illuminates the whole kingdom. Matter of fact, it is so beautifully adorned with jewels that the streets are paved with gold that's so pure it's translucent. And you avoid that unhappy place called hell, where all the things that I mentioned in heaven won't be in hell. So it's going to be dark, it's going to stink, it's going to have bad people everywhere, it's going to be painful, and most of all, you're cut off from God, Jesus Christ, and all the people you love, the people that love God, forever in a day. I don't know about you, but I like option number one instead of option number two. Guys, again, that's me, Minister Jonathan Simmons. You can contact me via the email, jsimmons@realtalksports.net. You also can call me directly, 678-410-9833. Please follow the show at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. You can follow me personally at Minister J. Sim. All right, everybody, until the next time when we see you again, you know how we do it. We say God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day. So long.